and 2, and give me 1 second. I think it's getting there. 1.
Hi, guys. Thanks for joining. This is Essence of Life. Today, we're going to be talking about how the United States is still the land of opportunity. I'm Amanda Armagost.
And I'm Dr. Abbasi for Essence, and it's my pleasure to have Farzin from old Persia or Iran with us. These days, we hear a lots of, unfortunately, not good news about Iran, but something that I want to emphasize, at least in my time when I used to live there, and I'm hearing that might be still the same, is that the population in Iran is the most pro-American population in the entire Middle East. I remember when I was a young boy, one of my dream was to come to United States. I would fantasize all the things I would be doing as a young boy if I am in the land of the opportunity. We would watch these American movies, TV shows, and so on. And I would be all amazed about all the things that exist in this fantastic, magical land of USA that people can just go in and do things and so on. But before we go too far, I want to talk about Farzin. Why don't you introduce yourself, who you are, and then we will come back about why we have you as a guest to talk about if US is a land of opportunity or not. Please go ahead.
Okay. Well, hello, and thank you for having me on this incredible platform. My name is Farzin Farahbakhsh, and I'm a young neurosurgeon from Iran. So I actually was inspired by your journey and your remarkable achievements. So I contacted you like, I think a month ago, and we actually adjusted this meeting for today that we can talk about our experiences, your experience as a international medical graduate to one of the best spine surgeons in the US, and mine as a neurosurgeon in Iran, recently got my boards.
Now, tell me, where are you born, Farzin? What is tell me a little about your childhood. When and where were you born? And tell me about your childhood.
Okay. I was born in 1992 in a South province in Iran called Khuzestan, a city called Ahvaz. I grew up there and I went to high school there, but we have like this national exam for getting into universities. I had a great mark in that exam, and I went to the best medical school in this country called Tehran University of Medical Sciences.
Mm-hmm.
I did my undergraduate years there for 7.5 years, and then after 2 years after I graduated, I did some in that 2 years I did some practice as a general practitioner, something like family medicine here. And then I got into neurosurgery residency. Neurosurgery residency here is a 5 years training, is a very actually hard, rigorous training, involves long hours and late nights. We have a demanding program in Tehran University. I was there too for the residency, and the patients load are high. And after that, I got my boards last year after 5 years of training. The thing is, when we actually do our residency and get graduated from the residency, we have to do a 2.5 year obligatory service in a place where the Minister of Health assigns us to. So I now practice in my birth province near my birth town, my hometown, and I'm having my own practice, but it's the government that assigned me here. Maybe because I was born here and there was some cities here that needed neurosurgeons. Yeah. That's my experience till now. And okay, go ahead.
No, that you have provided me the treasure chest of information. And I want
Okay.
to dissect it a little, you know. You said you are born
Yeah,
in
please.
1992.
Yeah,
That is just 4 years after Iran-Iraq war ended.
it
Now,
is.
for people
Yes.
who don't know that, from 1980 to 1988, there was a devastating war between Iran and Iraq, and
For 8 years.
for 8 years. And what
Yeah.
people don't know that Saddam Hussein didn't turn crazy in 1992 attacking Kuwait. He was crazy all along. He was a dictator. He was a wild man. And he started the war when Iran, after the revolution, was weak, at the weakest point. And that war could have been a short war, but it wasn't. It was a long war because every single time one country was stronger than the other, the whole West, the whole world supported the other side, mostly Iraq. So the war can go on and on to reduce the military capacity of Iran specifically, because Iran was an ally of the West and built such a huge military capacity that had to be grinded down. And that was the purpose of that war. And Ahvaz, the city you are born, was
Yes.
never captured like Khorramshahr or Shirin or other cities. It wasn't
Yes.
even blockaded like Abadan, but it was devastated. That city was, for lack of other term, raped. That city was it burned down through the war.
Yeah.
When you grew up, do you remember any after effect of the war? I know they put a lot of effort to build the city, and it's a beautiful city now. Did you
Yeah.
notice anything when you grew up in that city?
Okay. So as you said, I was born 2 years after the war ended.
No,
And
1990 or 1992. When were you born?
1992, 4 years after the
4 years,
war
yeah.
ended, I think. Yeah, it's 4 years after the war ended. So no, actually, you see a lot of places. You still see a lot of places that was affected by that war in our region. The cities you mentioned that was captured by Iraqi forces are like 1 hour from my town. So there was these places that was like there was this you see lots of neighborhoods in those cities. When I was growing up, you saw lots of neighborhoods in those cities that was destroyed in the war. But when I was growing up, and as much as I can remember, I don't think I was actually affected by that war when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I only heard the stories and the burden that people had. They had to relocate because my family had to relocate because of the war. Some of them actually, some of the relatives actually had to go to the war, and some of them even got killed in that war.
Yeah.
Because I'm from this province that is actually neighboring Iraq. So it was one of the mostly affected provinces in this country.
Yeah.
But for my experience, I actually wasn't affected by the war.
Yeah. Good.
But
Good for you.
yeah, but an interesting thing you said that you had been watching USA movies and Hollywood movies and fantasy there. That was my experience growing up too. You know, I
So
was
revolution
always
didn't change that. Revolution didn't change that. You
Yeah,
grew up as well
it,
watching American culture, right?
yes, yes. You know, actually, it got easier, I think, from your time to mine because we had a good access to internet. Uh, in my like teen years, when I was a teenager, we had good access to the internet. We had good access to movies, and because the copyright laws are not done here, so we had pretty good access to every Hollywood movie you can think of.
Yeah.
And after
Now,
that, the streaming services started, the TV series, everything. No, it was actually one of my hobbies is to still watch Netflix and other streaming services TV series.
so, but let me talk about my childhood. My childhood was about 15, 20 years before you. And
Okay.
actually 22 years. I'm born 1968. So when I was growing up, we had three channels, channel 1, channel 2, and then the American channel. And I could say ABC's American alphabet before I could say a Persian alphabet. And we would watch all these cartoons. And then after the revolution, it was like a dead hole. It was you would hear only morning and Quran in the TV and so on. But something I remember we would do, we would go and rent a video recorder and then watch American, like we would watch like a Michael Jackson Thriller or all those things, we would come, all the family, even neighbors would come, like 40 people in one room, and we would put a video cassette in, and we would watch those dance the videos, like MTV. It was a big deal, and we would watch them, some of them with a Persian translation, but most of them even without. But then on the street, the government and some people would scream death to America, but in home, we would idolize anything that was American, including American culture, including dance. As a matter of fact, lots of young people, they would do breakdance. I was one of them. And
oh, great.
yes, yes. So that was the dichotomy, that on the street, the government was screaming death to America for whatever reason, but people still would idealize US. So
yeah. So the thing is, it's pretty much actually the same. I'm not going to delve into why the government and they do such programs and why our governments are actually like enemies. So, but many people around me and many people I know actually feel the same and have had the same experience as you do, even a more richer experience of knowing American culture, because many of us had access to satellites. We have access to satellite channels, and we had access to internet. And now some part of internet is restricted. For example, even now that I'm talking to you on Zoom, we have to use VPNs for that. But still, it's pretty much accessible.
It seems that you go around that the restriction pretty good right now. This is one of the best connection I have had on Zoom, actually.
Oh, great! I was so nervous, and because sometimes the VPNs crashes, and I was so nervous that we might not have a good connection. That's good news for me.
Yeah.
And I must say, if you still do breakdance, we have to see you do the breakdance.
Yeah, but no, we will keep it that I'm gonna put it on my list of things to do. A breakdance.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on the list for right after this breakdance.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm really amazed about that, Iranian culture is that, like many other cultures, but especially Iranian, they would, in my time, before my time, after my time, they would immigrate to the United States. They would come here and they would feel home. This is not the same. Many Iranian, they go to Europe, England, Germany, Sweden, Switzerland, even southern countries that are more hospitable, like Italy or Spain. You go there, but that I can tell you, when I went I went to Germany, 1987. So about 5 years before you were born, Farzin. And I noticed that is a culture that it's so different from my culture. People are so different from my people. Then in 1998, for the first time I came to United States admittedly, I went to California, where it's a hot pot of lots of different cultures. But I was amazed that 2 days later, I could be any random person in California, that I wasn't singled out as a foreigner. The culture and the people, even though lots of things we do was different and is probably different, but it was like a piece of puzzle that could be a piece of puzzle in the American culture, where my experience in Germany, I can talk about that, and many other compatriot, it was that we are something that we stick to the outside of the culture, German culture, where in US culture, we would come in, we would be part of the US culture, we would be part of the puzzle, whereas on the German culture, we would be just a border, on the outside of the border of the German culture. I know a lot of things are changing, but that I can say from my experience and many of my friends that was amazing for me, that the Iranian people and the American people are so similar in so many ways that Iranian can come and be part of this society right away. What was your experience?
Okay, so it's amazing to hear your experience, because I have pretty much like a similar experience. During my undergraduate years, I started to do research and studies mostly about low back pain and neck pain, spinal pains. Because of that, I had the chance to travel to some congresses in Europe and see how people live there and their culture. I felt a very, very difference, actually huge difference between our two cultures. I went to Germany, I went to the Netherlands, France. They had this, like, I don't know how to say it, like a little bit cold culture. Really, they didn't accept outsiders. We were like outsiders whenever we went. So after that, my aunt is working in the United States. We had 8 years ago, I had the chance to go to United States. He was actually back then he was studying PhD in Maryland, I think, and we got a chance to travel the States for 3 weeks. We went to like New York City, San Francisco, and some other cities. I don't really actually now recall it. So I was amazed how the cultures are the same, because 8 years ago I was studying medicine in the capital part of Iran. It's a huge city called Tehran, and it's a crowded city. Everybody's rushing thing. And when I got the chance to see New York, I actually thought, wow, it looks like Tehran. People are actually doing things like we do in Tehran. It's a very crowded city. Even the driving, I thought maybe our driving is mad, but theirs it was even madder than us. So this was my experience back then, 8 years ago. And after that, a year later, one of my friends who was studying PhD in Germany brought one of his friend to Iran. He was from New York. That guy was from New York. The guy also from the New York told me, oh, I think Tehran looks like New York. People act like what we do in New York, and it's pretty much similar culture. So I felt what you felt and what you described, exactly like how you described it.
Yeah. You told something about about the German, Dutch, French culture to be cold. And that's not the first time I hear that. I hear that a lot from Persian people, that they find the European culture to be cold and unaccepting. As a matter of fact, there is a TikTok that I remade it. It's an Arab guy that it's showing the train station of Frankfurt. I have been there many, many times. It showed that and says, Habibi, if you want to get depressed, come to Germany. You know, that sort of sums it up, that you're isolated in Europe as a Middle Eastern, as Persian person.
Well, actually, I think as anyone who's not European, you're isolated, because as myself in Germany at the train station, I did not feel like warm welcome. If I'm asking for help at the train station, I'm actually being a huge burden. Where in the US, if you ask for help at the train station, they're going to actually probably walk you to where you need to go. It's so much more, they're so much more helpful here in the US. It's not just Middle Eastern and Persians.
So, do you want to describe your experience, Amanda? Because we love to have an
Yes.
American perspective on that.
I feel like I just did describe my experience. I was at the train station and I didn't know which train I was supposed to get on, so I asked for help, and the conductor did not help me. Like, didn't even really answer my question.
It was his job. It was not his job to help you.
It was the information stand. Like this, it said information. So I thought I could go there for help. If I were in the US, I could go up to any random person. It doesn't even need to be an information stand. Like actually in the US, one time I left my garage door open and I was a long ways away. There was no way for me to close my garage door. I called the police and they went and closed it, no problem.
You told me not only they close the door, they make sure everything is all right there for you and give you a backup call and so on.
Yeah, and they're like, there's these tracks on the driveway. Was that you? And I'm like, yeah, don't worry. That's my car tracks. But I feel like in Germany,
if you would that in Germany, they would send you a citation.
Yes.
No, but there is, so coming back to Persian culture, American culture, they are so much more similar in unspeakable ways that it enable a Persian guy come to US and feel home, not just be a resident, not have being a Iranian with American passport, but be truly American.
Sorry, I have another Persian American similar thing.
Please, go
it's
ahead.
more Midwestern, but in the US, in the Midwest, we call it a Midwestern goodbye. Goodbye takes 20, 30 minutes to say. Like you're standing at the door, like, bye, call me later, call me when you get home. Hugs and kisses for 20 minutes. Same person. But in Germany, I feel like, well, actually, no, in Ireland, they have Irish goodbye. You just sneak out. You don't even really say goodbye.
And in Germany, they tell you it's time for you to go home. And then
yeah, that's I was actually amazed because I saw the similarities between the two cultures, but our countries are too much apart. So, and I was amazed how our culture is different from the European culture, how your culture in the States is different from European culture, and these two cultures, ours and yours, are so, there's so much similarities, even in how people actually behave, how communities actually behave, how there's a lot of similarities. And then I always wonder why these two countries are too much apart, and it's politics actually. It's not the culture. Surely it's not the culture.
In my time, when I grew up, almost the dream of many of my friends and so on was go to America, land of opportunity. Now, our dream was not go to Germany or go to Sweden or go to Japan. It was go to America, land of opportunity. We would watch these restaurants, we would watch these movies, TVs. We would hear from people who have been in US and so on. And for us was like this magical land that would open up the doors for you to progress in the life. Now, I should say, it's not everything that easy. As a matter of fact, my sister's still thinking, I'm just going from one party to another. Amanda knows my life is anything but that. It is, as a matter of fact, I think people work extremely hard in the United States, more than in Germany, more than in Japan, I believe. Life is hard, fast, difficult sometimes here. But we had this feeling, we had this image of US that when you come here, if you work hard, you can achieve your goals, that you get opportunities that nowhere else you would have. And I still stand by it. I still, after being here for 25 years and before that 17 years in Germany, have lived in 3 continents, I still believe US is still the country that if you work hard, is not easy, but you have the opportunity to move from one social level to another, to another, to another. It still will give you the opportunity, whereas I believe in most of the countries in the world, you are more or less limited to the social strata you're born to. So
Yeah.
what is the
So
feeling US? What is the feeling about US right now in Iran? I mean, we do a lot of dumb thing. We do a lot of our politics is dumb beyond
So,
recognition.
let me give you my experience as a medical student and then a neurosurgery resident, because there's this problem in Iran right now that many medical graduates, even many of those who has gone through residency, are migrating to other countries for a better life. There are some very, very complicated problems in our health system for doctors, and they are not satisfied at all. Most of them are not satisfied at all. So, as I said, I was in the Tehran University of Medical Sciences. It's in the capital. Uh, when we were graduating, there was three options for me and my friends. When we were discussing our options and what we want to do, some of us wanted to migrate to the United States and continue there. Some wanted to go to Germany, as you did. And the third group, like me, wanted to do residency here and get a specialty. The decision for me was not a straightforward decision, because I've been working on my research for like 6 years back then, and I I had the opportunity to maybe get a research position there and start doing uh, the USMLE steps and maybe continue from there. But when the thing that made me actually choose to stay here back then, which sometimes I regret because of how things are unraveling here now, was that first was my family, and I was getting married back then, and my wife's family. And then the thing was, I really loved to become a neurosurgeon. When I talked to some guys there, some of my old friends who actually migrated there, and they were trying to get into the system, the medical system, and to get into the residency. They told me that you can't become a neurosurgeon in the United States when you are an international medical graduate, or IMGs, as you call it. So I was so much in love with neurosurgery that I actually this was one of the things that made me stay. I wanted to become a neurosurgeon, so I thought that I couldn't do it in the States. So my family, my wife's family, and the third reason was I wanted to become a neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
And
Now
that's
I
it.
can, yeah, and I can tell you from my story, I did actually a year um of university in Isfahan. Then they threw
Okay.
me out of university because I wasn't paying attention. I got into discussion with my religious study professor. Yes, we had religious study in med school.
We do have, we still do it, have it.
Yeah, okay. So I was got in the thing, so I couldn't finish my religious study classes, so they threw me out of university in Isfahan. So I went to Germany. I did my MD and PhD in Germany. I did 3 years of neurosurgery residency in Germany when I came to United States, and I knew I came for research, and I knew I'm going to stay. And I was told by the chair of the neurosurgery in Stanford that Hamid, it is unheard of foreign graduate to get into neurosurgery here. But there was another attending telling me, I know, Hamid, it's hard, but if you want it bad enough, you will. And so I did. I wanted bad
Yeah.
enough. So I did get in, but I was told as well that it is unheard of to get to the neurosurgery as foreign graduate. It's not, I don't believe it's unheard of now, but it is about as well, all comes back. That is what I tell to everybody else who's want this to do this. It's not easy, but if you want it bad enough, you will do it.
Yeah. As I said, I'm truly inspired by your journey, your remarkable achievements, because you made it as one of the leading surgeons in spine surgery, MI spine surgery, as I know it. And that's why I contacted you, and that's what I want to know. Hearing about your experiences, obstacles you had to overcome,
Yeah.
and what strategies help you succeed.
Yeah.
This would be informative for me and many others from international medical community, I guess.
Yeah. No, I want to talk about people in Iran. You are living there. You're going through all these turmoils of all the financial thing, all the sanction and so on. Do people in
Okay.
Iran, do they hold a grudge against, about the rest of the world? What do they feel about, US especially? When you talk to your friends and family about the rest of the world, especially about US, what is the atmosphere? What do they see in US these days when they talk to each other privately?
Okay. So, like back when you were here, there's this official narrative that everybody is the United States enemy here.
Mhm.
But in my experience, when I talk to people, when I talk to my friends, they actually think that the problems we are facing are actually because of the mismanagements we have in several levels of our government. Sometimes they do feel like the sanctions are pretty much hitting us hard, but at least people around me, I don't know about the whole community. I think many of us actually feel like that. Uh, they think maybe it's because of our mismanagements and our government decision. So no, I don't think they hold a big grudge against the United States.
Yeah.
But some do. I'm sure some do, but it's not what I'm experiencing around myself.
Yeah. One of the
And
things I hear,
it's actually, when I wanted to get into the neurosurgery residency, uh, I didn't think it would be this much worse after doing 5 years of residency. So these past 5 years was pretty much getting harder every day, every year, and it doesn't matter which administration is in the US, but it's hitting us pretty hard. Uh, actually, when I was doing practice as a general practitioner, I made lots of more money than now that I'm practicing as a neurosurgeon. When you co compare it with when you actually estimate it in dollars.
yeah,
So and everything is getting like uh, during the past 5 years, like tenfold more expensive. Things are
yeah,
pretty much hard, and so I myself didn't think it would be this much worse after
yeah.
just 5 years.
Now, one of the things I hear a lot from people American who visit Iran, they say they had the best experience, that the people they love to engage with them, help them out, be friendly to them. So I can vouch for that from our side, that I don't believe American have anything to fear from Iranian. We are still, it has the most positive attitude toward American. We may not, I mean, even we in US, we don't agree all the time with their US foreign policies, but
Yeah.
I don't believe that the Iranian people have ever even crossed their mind to see American people as their enemies. I don't believe that the narrative has ever existed or will ever exist.
Uh,
The proof of
yeah.
that is that the people who visit Iran, American who visit Iran, they say that was one of the best experience.
Unfortunately, though, it has to be one of those things that if you know, you know, but until you know, you might not know. Because I know that like around my group of friends, yes, of course, that's like our general consensus that Iran, we actually love Iranians. There's no problem with it. But I think if you're like, for instance, a Fox News follower, you might be seeing a lot of things, especially right now, like the Iranian backed militia and things like that, with all this stuff going on right now. So it's kind of broad to say that statement that you said. I think it's all about the individuals.
Yeah.
people that like take the time to understand will be more accepting of different cultures, just like people that choose to not understand will never be accepting of other cultures.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So like what you're experiencing back there in the United States, actually here is also the country is divided. Some people think like I do. Some people still think like you when you were here, and but the actually as a whole, nobody holds a grudge against people because not only Americans, other foreigners when they come to Iran, they're all treated well, and they get a pretty good respect. People actually uh, go beyond their ways to uh, make a great experience for them, even if they don't know much about them. So it's still the same. So when a foreigner from states from Europe comes to Iran, I think they would actually enjoy it. And it's
I,
because Iranian people are very lively people, and they love guests and they love foreigners. It's rooted in the culture.
yeah.
So no matter
And
how much the governments are against each other, this is a part of the culture here.
And that
So
is
I think
such a pity because Iran should be one of the highest tourist-ridden country. I mean, that obviously is a huge boost for every economy. Some economies live only of the tourist, but Iran is such a fantastic place for people to visit. There is actually a nice video that it shows different area of Iran and says this is not Egypt, this is Iran. This is not China, this is Iran. This is not South America, this is Iran, and so on. And it shows the deserts, the forests, the lagoons, the oceans, the Caspian Sea, the mountains, the ski resort. It is such a diverse country, and I think I'm hoping this podcast as well help to people who listen to this, watch this, they understand. Independent of that Fox News or most of media, they just say the Iranian-backed Houthis did this and that. Iranian, they have to always mention that this is Iranian, and they don't even have the courtesy to say Iranian government back.
That's
They-
exactly it. It's the
So,
governments against each other. It's never the people in the individuals.
and I can guarantee you, if you put the ideals, if you put the goals of an Iranian family and you put the goals of an American family, they align more than any other culture. Family, taking care of your loved one, working hard, doing
Cooking, sharing.
sharing, improving your life and life of people around you. And that is a really sad story that that land that is so idolized in Iran is our opinions here are really incited almost, I would say, against a whole country. And I think that is some part that we have to do. We are doing with this podcast right now that many in Iran still see the US as a land of opportunity. I understand lots of Americans are disillusioned with what's going on like now that you were telling me the other day, Amanda, that how hard your life is, that that uh, having a regular life has become harder and harder here with a regular job and so on.
Yeah, over 50% of people my age have to live with their parents.
Yeah. So,
okay.
but see that, so, but I guess what
Even that experience is pretty much what
similar
young people experience in Iran. Like yeah, I see like more than half of people your age is still living with their parents.
yeah.
Even that, it's pretty much a experience we see here. About the tourism thing you said about traveling here, yeah, there's a lot of great places that uh, people can visit when they come to Iran, and it's like you can have so many different cultures, so many different environments, so many different weather conditions and geographical conditions. And we actually have a very great very, very great options for food here. And it's pretty cheap comparing to what you pay for great food when you want to dine in United States. So it would be a great experience for a tourist. But I think because of the like uh, economic embargoes, you have to bring cash here when you want to pay something here when somebody comes from abroad. You can't use your credit cards. There are some like back channels maybe you can use, but it's harder. It's hard. So maybe the problem is when you want to reserve a hotel, when you want to pay for what you do here, it's not connected to international bank system. That's one of the burdens, and the biggest problem is the media and what people think of the experience they might have in Iran.
Iran's actually in my bucket list of places that I would love to travel. I feel like if we just ignore like the mainstream media and focus more on the individuals, like people hate on TikTok, but on TikTok you can learn so much about people from different cultures. I think that we'll learn to be much more accepting.
Yeah,
Now,
that's nice to hear.
and one of the things that I think I want to mention as well, that the last time I was in Iran was in 2016. It was the day Trump got elected.
Okay.
And I was giving talks in University of Tehran, actually. I gave 3 talks there. And it was really great opportunity, to connect back. And I made a connection to a group of Iranian surgeons and literally invited them to come and learn our technique. And we made plans and so on. But then, because Trump got elected and then the visas got canceled and so on, they couldn't come to us. Do you know what I noticed in Iran when I was there? That some people were excited that the Trump got elected. That is
Yeah.
that is something that the same way that Trump wooed a lot of American public, there were some Iranian public that literally fell for this facade of we are different. This is something different. Something new is going to happen. And right away, it backfired. The surgeon that I was going to bring here to train, they couldn't get visa anymore. Now it is 2016. It's now almost 8 years later. But I'm still hoping to bring our technology and so on back to Iran. I know our time is coming up, but for people who are interested, I like to just point to it that that this really nice ad that shows some of the fascinating landscape and so on in Iran. And Amanda, if we ever get invited to Iran to go give more talks, I definitely take you with me.
Thanks.
Yeah. I actually do some like I have this drone that I do some footages from uh places I travel in Iran. I can send you some videos too.
Yes, please.
Yes. I'd like to share a very short video with you guys, if you don't mind. And here we
Yeah.
go. So that sort of sums it up what the rest of the world is missing, because the narrative that is presented in the most of the media is always so negative. Now, having said that, as somebody who has lived on 3 continents and has made a living here in US, I feel I am the right person to say that I'm very optimistic about the future of both Iran and US, and as well the relationship. And we had lots of setbacks, but in my time, US was land of opportunities. I'm happy to hear that still the ambition and the future of lots of Iranian, they see their future here in US and they see it as a land of opportunity. But as well, I see that, we can as well see a huge boost in the relationship. So it was so great, Farzinjan, to have you on our podcast.
Yeah, it was incredible. And thanks for this incredible experience for me. And thanks for having me.
And so please stay in touch. I'm hoping to make a conference. Maybe we are supposed to go to Saudi Arabia to do surgeries there, hopefully in a few months. And I'm hoping that soon I can come to my birth country in Iran and bring the technology to my birth country. Unfortunately, the path is hard, and the relationships are really have been made difficult with how government behave. But I'm hoping the true relationship goes through from people to people. And so please stay in touch. It was a pleasure having you on our podcast.
I will hope to see you here back home.
Whenever you are in US, you have to come and visit us, okay? Amanda will facilitate that, okay?
I'll set it up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you guys for watching.
Great. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. This was the Essence of Life. We talked about how the United States is the land of opportunity. I'm Amanda Armagast.
And I'm Dr. Abbasi, and we have our special guest, Farzin, who's a neurosurgeon in Iran. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.